Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to take one of our classic DIY circuits and we're going to mod it and expand it, and I'm going to show you my 3 favorite mods for this particular model. So for this we're going to be working with the single transistor overdrive. I've got this breadboarded the way that the build guide calls for, so that you guys will have somewhere kind of as a starting point, and we're going to expand from there. So everything that I'm going to be doing in this is going to be an extension or an add-on based on how this is actually laid out as the breadboard goes. So you'll have to do very little tweaking from the traditional layout. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over the schematic, what we're adding for my mods, and what it's going to look like, and we're going to break it down a little bit as we go. So let's move this over. Let's take a look at what we're working with. So this is our original schematic here. This is our single transistor overdrive with a single gain stage here with a BJT, some hard clipping to ground. We've got a simple passive tone control, that's a low pass filter, to our output. So what we're going to be doing is taking this original one and we're going to modify it like this. Alright, so I've highlighted here what our mods are going to be. You can see we've got a mod on the front end for gain. We're going to have a bass control for our low end presence, and we're going to do a fun 3-way clipping. So these are all going to be things that you can do with parts that we sell. You can also mess around and experiment, and we're going to talk about that more. So let's bring the breadboard back and let's dive into it. Alright, so let's start modifying this single transistor overdrive. Now, I went over the 3 parts we're going to be doing. We'll leave this right up here so you guys can follow along. These are just 3 mods that I like as an expansion on the single transistor overdrive, and it might spark some creativity for you guys. Alright, so let's start with our gain control. So, let me grab some greenies, and let's go after our first modification. So, the single transistor overdrive has R2, which is going directly to ground. That's setting our gain level for Q1. We're going to swap this out and we're going to throw in a variable resistor or potentiometer. So in our build, this is R2 here going to ground. We're going to pull this guy up and we're going to get rid of him. Now what we're going to need is a B1K and a little bit of wire. Alright, so we're going to need to jump over our channel here so that we can do the gain control. Alright, so we're going to put our B1K roughly right there, and we're going to jump from the emitter. So we're going to go from the emitter, and we're going to be going to the wiper, pin 2 of our potentiometer. Again, we're jumping the channel with some wire from the emitter to pin 2. And then what we need to do is we need to get from pin 3 on the potentiometer to our ground rail. So we've got ground fed here, distributed all the way through this blue rail. So now all we need to do is connect our wire like that. Alright, so as you can see, we've got emitter to wiper, 3 to ground. And on the breadboard, it's here. Emitter to wiper, 3 to ground. Simple. So now that's our gain stage. That's going to be a variable gain stage. Now remember, we're hard set on our collector of the transistor, but this is going to be a variable resistor here, also known as a potentiometer. This is going to allow us to have gain control. Now, I've set it up so that when we have our gain at minimum, like a traditional guitar pedal where it's down, that's going to be the most resistance. So that's going to be 1K, because I've chosen 1K here. Now you can probably try up to even a 5K here for cleaner amounts. So the more resistance to ground, the cleaner that this is going to be. It's going to actually be more like a boost pedal here. As we turn it up, as you're probably aware, we're going to get more gain on the emitter here. So if we normally call for about a 560, halfway on our potentiometer is going to be about representing what the stock version is. Then when we go all the way up, there's no resistance between 2 and 3, dumping to ground, so our emitter is going directly to ground. That's the most open it can be. That's the most gain. You're even going to get into kind of like some woolly fuzzy territories. Alright, so that's it for the first modification that we're doing. Let's jump over to the bass mod. Alright, so for our bass mod, we're going to be coming out of the collector through C4. Now normally this would go right to the tone control. It still does, but we're going to have some fun before it gets there. With this bass control mod, all we're going to need is a potentiometer, a couple pieces of wire, and a single resistor. For this one, it's going to be a 3.3K. Alright, so what we need to do is, essentially we're going to create a high-pass filter. And this is going to allow the highs to go through, but the bass is going to roll off here. So this will be kind of like our bass control. So to do that, we need to set up a CR filter. So that's going to be a capacitor in the signal with a resistor going to ground. In this orientation, it's going to be a variable resistor via a potentiometer and also a resistor. So let's take a look at our schematic here. We're in the bass control network here. So C4 with this pot and R4, that's going to be our CR network, and that's going to create our high-pass filter to let bass roll off. So just like the gain control, we're actually going to jump over the channel here. So we need to go to lug 1 on the bass control, and we're going to come out of C4, so we're right here. So let's just jump the channel right over. Something like that. So that's going to be our landing area for the bass knob. Now with a little bit of wire, we're going to jump over to lug 1 on the pot. Lug 2 is going to connect to R4, and that's 3.3K. That's going to be this guy here. This guy needs to get essentially a path to ground. So we're going to jump out of 2, which is the wiper. I'm going to jump over there on the channel. And we are going to simply jump to ground with a little bit of wire. There we go. So now we've come out of our capacitor into our potentiometer, through this hardwired resistor, and to ground. So this is making our CR network with a variable resistor as a potentiometer, which means at different sides of the knob, we're going to get different amounts of resistance. Those resistance amounts are going to translate to how much of the frequency is going to be rolled off, or where it's going to be in the frequency curve. So at minimum here, we're going to have C4 go right to R3, because when 1 and 2 are connected, it's going to be as if the potentiometer isn't even there. When we max this, it's actually going to be the value of C4, which is our 0.1, and then the knob plus R4. So that's going to be roughly 28.5. Now remember, these are going to have a bit of a tolerance to them, so they might not be exactly 25. And again, just like the gain stage, feel free to mess with this. If you want it to be a more subtle control, we can do that with tapering. You can also do it with resistance value. For me, I liked 25K. You guys could try a 10, you could try a 50. Just have fun with it. That's kind of really the spirit here. All right, so we've got our bass control for the STO, and now we're going to jump over to the clipping section next. All right, so this is the last step in the 3 mods that I've chosen for the single transistor overdrive. This is going to be the clipping. So the single transistor overdrive traditionally has 1 pair of diodes going to ground here in a hard clip orientation. What we're going to do is follow suit, but we're going to actually add a 3-way toggle and 2 separate pairs of diodes set up in a symmetrical orientation. So what we want to do, we're going to have to move these diodes across the channel, but first let's set up the toggle switch and the other pair of diodes that I've chosen. So for this, we're going to keep the 4148s, the classic small signal diodes for clipping, and we're also going to add the BAT41s. These are a much harder, more aggressive, much more compressed clipping, so you get a good balance between the two. All right, so let's put our 3-way toggle in. Now, here is our 3-way toggle switch with the adapter board that we make and sell. You guys can purchase these so you can have some fun on your breadboard. Alright, you see we've got 5 pins, so a quick little breakdown. We're only going to be using the middle 3. The inside and outside are actually just for stability in the breadboard. And the middle pin will connect to the middle pin here, and outside left, outside right are going to connect to outside left, outside right. You can actually see there's actually 2 little X's here. Those are not connected. Again, they're just for stability in a breadboard so that our toggle isn't wobbling all over. So we want to jump the channel. Oh, and one other thing to note. On these single pole double throws, both sides are connected. Unlike a double where we've split them so that you can have different sides talk to it, you can check out our toggle switch video for that. These are all connected. So if the middle is connected on this side, the middle's connected on this side as well. This is going to allow us to jump the channel without needing wire. Alright, so I've placed our toggle switch there because our signal here on the schematic is also this green wire here. So when we get to here, we want to have this be on pin 3. Now that helps distribute over to here. So we've jumped that channel, and now this pin here and this pin here are touching. Alright, so let's get our diodes in here. Let's add our BAT41s. That's going to be D4 and D5. Those are both going to ground, and we want to touch each side of them to our toggle switch. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Remember, we're doing an asymmetrical manner, which means we're going to have the anode and cathode be opposite each other. So for the first one, we've got our anode going to ground, which means we want the cathode going to ground for the next one. So that's the first spot, and as you see, we're going into the second pin here, because the middle one has jumped over the channel. So for the next one, do something like this. There we go. And you can see that they're set up a symmetrical manner. Alright, so let's keep going. What we want to do is we're actually going to grab the diodes that are originally here, and we're going to bring them over here to the other side of the toggle switch. One, there's two. Okay, so now, just like the BAT41s on the left side of the toggle, we're going to throw these original ones to the right side of the toggle, again in an asymmetrical manner. Let's move this over, give us a little bit more room to play. Alright, let's throw this first diode in. Again, this is going to be in a symmetrical manner, so we're going to set up the cathode on one and then the anode on the other. There we go. So now you can see here we've got a pair of symmetrical diodes to ground on pin 2. Pin 3 is open because it's jumping over the channel, and pin 4 is our original diodes. So now, a quick note on how the toggle switch works. When we flip the switch here, the left side is going to be connected, and when we flip the switch to the right, or to the left, the right side is going to connect. So it's kind of opposite to what the user's experience is going to be, because underneath it's actually doing the opposite. You can think of it like a lever. So what we see, the circuit sees the opposite. Now, the reason I chose a three-way is because it allows us to have a third position. In the middle, there would be no clipping. This would just be lifted. So you'd get closer to more of like a boosted sound than like a hard clipped sound. Alright, so now that we've added that, the rest of the circuit is the traditional standard single transistor overdrive. We've just added 3 new mods for you to try out. All of this stuff you can purchase on our site. You can have fun with the values. You could do a two-way if you want. You could add LEDs as clipping. You could maybe purchase some germaniums and do those. You could even add some resistance so the clipping isn't as hard. Really, this is just kind of like a Kickstarter for you guys to, get inspired. You could copy this exactly as is, and maybe you'll love the sound of it. When we adjust the controls, you're going to get a wide range of sounds essentially here. We're going to be able to get a boosted sound all the way to kind of a more fuzzy blown sound. We're going to be able to cut all of the bass, which we couldn't do on the original circuit. We're also going to be able to remove or change the clipping type, and then downstream we're going to be able to do our normal tone control, which is going to adjust our highs, and then a master volume control. Now this master volume control is going to be really handy now because different compression and styles of gain from clipping is actually going to bring our signal down a bit, so we're going to make up for it with our master output volume. So hopefully you take some of these, you get inspired, try some stuff out, or even copy it the exact way. Just kind of have fun with it. The values aren't super crucial. Let your ear do all the work, and just have fun with it. And thanks so much for tuning in and modifying a classic DIY circuit with us.